So, for all of you watching, and for the very few that are here with us, happy Chanukah once again. And we want to welcome you to the World of Light, the celebration of Chanukah, together with the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB. We're delighted that we have the principals of these institutions, as is customary, to celebrate Chanukah with us. And I'm going to introduce them one at a time. Afterwards, we'll have a few Chanukah remarks, and we'll light this menorah. And those of you who are watching us, either while we do this or afterwards, can join us in spirit. Hopefully by next year, this will be done. Our pandemic will be over, and we'll be celebrating in person once again, as we have for some 25 years now. So first, I'd like to introduce President David Malpass of the World Bank.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Shemtov. Shalom. I'm very pleased to welcome everyone virtually to the World Bank to celebrate Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, and we're going to light the menorah in our building. Kristalina Georgieva hosted last year's event at the IMF, and we never expected to be here virtually this year, but I'm glad that technology is able to help us bring this wonderful tradition back in the in Washington, D.C. with the IMF, with the Inter-American Development Bank, and the American Friends of Lubavitch. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mauricio Claver-Caron, President of the Inter-American Development Bank, and I look forward to continued collaboration with IDB and, of course, with IMF. And I want to say a very special thank you to Rabbi Shemtov and his son Menachem for being with us today. I know he's very busy, and especially at this time of year, and I want to recognize your leadership in the Washington, D.C. community. These are challenging times for everyone. And as we light the menorah, I'll remember that light eliminates darkness and brings hope. And that's what we're here for, celebrating Hanukkah this year. We're thinking of those who have lost loved ones due to COVID-19. The World Bank staff in this big, largely empty building around us has been working very, very hard with urgency to bring countries help in this time of challenge, to bring emergency health resources, and also to contain the damage and plan for the long-term recovery. And we're also working very hard to bring access to vaccines to the low and middle income countries that we work with, and we hope alter the course of the pandemic. So with that, I hope that this holiday season we can all come together as we are here today, and everyone that's watching to advance our shared goals and to celebrate the light. And let me now hand over to Kristalina Georgieva, and I wish you all happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much, David. With everybody appropriately distanced, for the virtual audience, just to be sure you know me is me, I would temporarily and only for the next 3 minutes take off my mask to be with Rabbi Shemtov and with my two brothers, David and Mauricio, on a day when we celebrate light and hope is a cherished privilege. It is with sadness that I look back at the year we left behind when I was the host at the IMF building, and we can sing and dance and be close to each other. But it is a testimony to our ingenuity, our strong spirits, that we are overcoming the pandemic, and we are standing together, even if it is 6 feet apart. What I want to remind us is that there is so much to be grateful for the health we have, for the gift of love and empathy we have for each other. We lost people we know and people we love, but we have not lost that sense that we can overcome any challenge that comes our way together. The IMF, like the World Bank, has swiftly stepped into doing what we exist to do, to help those in dire need at a time of extraordinary shock during a year like no other. We have swiftly committed $102 billion. We have disbursed significant part in emergency financing, and for some countries we have precautionary lines to make sure that if it gets tougher, there is a buffer behind. 83 countries have already benefited from support from the fund, largest number in our history. But more than the money, like the World Bank, we stepped out of our comfort zone in what we ask governments and businesses to do, to protect workers, to protect households. And we said to governments, I don't think it has come from the mouth of a managing director of the IMF very often, we said, spend. And then spend some more for your firms, for your people. But keep the receipts. We cannot afford accountability to take a back seat in this crisis. So it is coming together, working together, believing in each other, the strength we have together, that take us today to be hopeful, to be optimistic, and to get into the Chanukah festival in this spirit that next year it would be better. And next year, Mauricio, it is your turn. I want to finish with the words of somebody who I learned to respect tremendously, Dr. Jonathan Sachs, the former chief rabbi in the UK, who sadly passed in November this year. A very inspiring human being and a very, very smart man. So he said, there always were two ways to live in a world that is often dark and full of tears. We can curse the darkness, or we can light a light. And a little light drives out much darkness. May we all help light up the world. And it is so, so wonderful to be with you, to bring that light of hope and strength that we all need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to, along with every contingency that was in caveat that was made by Kristalina, I'm going to temporarily, real quick, remove my mask. Thank you so much, and I too look forward to hosting you next year at the IDB. And I heard Kristalina's a great dancer, but I too am a great dancer. So I look forward to dancing together next year, and it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll need that. It's definitely will be a year of fun. But thank you so much, and it really is an honor to be here alongside my friends David Malpass and Kristalina Georgieva for my first participation in an event that our organizations have hosted for more than 25 years together. I want to thank Rabbi Shem Tov, one of the brightest lights of the Jewish community here in Washington and in the United States, for organizing this gathering. I know that he helped light a much larger menorah a few days ago on the Ellipse, just a few blocks from where we are here today. But the true measure of this holiday, of course, is the message behind the candles. And it's a message that takes on particular resonance this year. The pandemic has tested, as we all know, our families, our communities, and our societies. And for many, COVID has personally affected loved ones and friends. In fact, it has changed the world. However, it's up to us to see how to rebuild the fabric of our societies and to restore hope for the greater good of all. At the IDB, we're focused on helping people in Latin America and the Caribbean to recover and to work toward a brighter future. All of us here today agree that we collectively face a development challenge as we seek to prevent reversals in the gains we have achieved in the last 20 years regarding poverty reduction, improved access to basic services, and decreased inequality. As the first vaccine shipments make their way around the world, and as our institutions continue to work together on our bold response, this grim year is ending with hope. It's the kind of hope that the menorah and the candles symbolize. And today we should remember the message at the root of the miracle that the Maccabees experienced, one of hope, perseverance, and of faith. About 500,000 people of Jewish descent live in Latin America and the Caribbean today, and their communities have made vibrant contributions to our region's culture and to their way of life. And that is why I'm so proud to be here today with you and to share this message of hope and celebration during this Hanukkah. And so, on behalf of the IDB, I want to send special Hanukkah greetings to our region. Feliz Chanukah. Let us all be inspired and draw strength from the Festival of Lights, this year more than ever, and I look forward to hosting you next year. Thank you.
No one's using this mic after me, so I'll follow suit. I thought that I just would take a moment to remember many of those who brought this celebration to the international financial institutions and kept it going over the years. Earlier today, I saw the Wolfenson atrium and a photo of James Wolfenson, who in the 90s, together with Enrique Iglesias, the president of the IDB, helped found this. And then here at the World Bank, James Wolfenson a few times, and Horst Kuhler. Those who are the historians in the institutions will know of whom I speak, together with Stanley Fischer and Luis Alberto Moreno, of course, who just finished his term a few months ago, Madame Lagarde, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, and of course Dr. Ngozi and President Kim. All were involved over the years in making sure that this celebration would continue. And every year, in normal circumstances, we would have stations around the room where we would have potato latkes, the essential delicacy of Hanukkah, prepared according to various ethnicities, according to the choice of each person and what they wanted. And as I remarked before, we could sometimes have 50, 60, 70 different nations represented right there in one room. I think that one of the things that we see on Hanukkah is the concept of Rabim Biyad Me'atim. The many into the hands of the few. The many evil falling into the hands of the righteous few. And that just shows it's not the size of the man in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the man, a person who is determined, and the human spirit, which is indelible and cannot be extinguished, can overcome any obstacle. And we've had the biggest obstacle of the century the past 8 or 9 months, and now we are finally, as President Kavacaron said, ending this dark year with hope. That's the message of Hanukkah, bringing some light into the darkness, as President Malpass said as well. And for me, as a member of the public, that's what I think of when I think of these institutions. It's about bringing hope where there is despair, to people who may not be able to do what they need to sustain themselves on their own, so they get the help from these institutions to be able to put themselves on their own feet and to be able to survive with their own energies. Maimonides, who lived almost 1,000 years ago, said that's the highest form of charity, helping somebody to find a way to sustain themselves on their own. The other day at the Ellipse, we lit the National Menorah, and one thing that I found fascinating was, instead of jostling on the press riser for the best view and the best position for each camera crew, due to COVID, they decided to have a pool reporter, one reporter who shared their feed with all the networks. And that meant that all the networks who were either liberal or conservative or somewhere in between all decided to see this event behind the same lens. And what that taught me is that we are so different in our persuasions, in our backgrounds, but we're all united in our goal. Our goal is to see a better world and a brighter world. And from time to time, we must find where are those things where, without compromising our principles, we can look at things through the same lens. I know that some of the greatest mathematical minds are right to my left here, but I'm just going to say an equation that is not going to help you balance the budget, but it might help to refocus behind that lens. And that is 1 versus 1 equals 0. 1 plus 1 can equal 3. And I think that, therefore, when we work together, the combined power is obviously much greater than the individuals involved. And of course, I think that Chanukah is also the message of the inner glow. When we help someone establish themselves, when we help a society or even a country get back on its feet, or at least prevent collapse, we're showing an inner glow that they can then shine themselves, that no one can do for them, but they can sometimes not do without external help. And the last thing I'm going to say is, we live in historic times. We live in times where we saw things like the Abraham Accords most recently, and countries which were belligerent coming to make peace, not necessarily because they felt threatened if they wouldn't do so, but because they saw the positive outcome of this 1 plus 1 equaling 3. Working together is better for everybody. And when I look at these huge buildings, when I drive by them, or when I think about these institutions, and every year we're reminded in a stronger way during this event, that's what I think about. I think about having a common purpose and a common effort that ends up being better for everybody. So I want to wish everyone a happy Chanukah, and I'm looking forward to next year. I guess it's already been decided by the principals that it's at the IDB, and we'll see everyone on New York Avenue in about 12 months from now. But for now, we're just going to light the menorah. The process we're going to do this year is slightly different. What we're going to do is President Malpass is going to light the shamash, which is the middle outstanding candle, and then I'll make the blessings and light 6 of the others, because that's the evening we're about to enter, and then we'll just have some concluding remarks from President Malpass if he wishes so, and we're all going to wish each other happy Chanukah, live but virtual this year, hopefully live and together next year. Yeah, you like that one, like the middle one. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you very much. Those were wonderful remarks.
You know, one of the most basic teachings is that a flame is something that can illuminate another flame without losing its own flame. So I'm just going to light these by making the blessings. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'osa nisim lavoseinu bayamim hohem bizman hazeh Normally these are lit with the newest flame on the left going rightward. But since you're watching, I'm going to start from here. Please refer to your Chanukah guides to know how to do it properly at home. The first blessing we made was the blessing on the precept to light these Chanukah flames. The second blessing we made is for he who made the miracles in those days and these times. And even though this story happened 2,200 years ago, the message that it teaches in the history of the Jewish people, but it's come to be appreciated by people of all faiths, is that ultimately light prevails. Darkness has no shot, no chance against the human spirit. So if you know the words, you can join me. Ma'os tzor Yeshuatzi Lechana elishabeach Tikom beis tefilasi Visham toda nizabeach Li'eis tachin mabeach Mitzor hamnabeach Azegmor beshir mizmor Chanukah zamizbeach Azegmor beshir mizmor Chanukah zamizbeach. On Thursday, we had the United States Navy Band accompanying us on that. Last year, when we were at the IMF, we had a little orchestra. Tonight, it's the orchestra of our souls. And God willing, next year, we'll have some real music. And from what I can tell, it's going to be quite festive. So happy Chanukah all. Please celebrate in your way and your place with your own people, sitting wherever you are. And let's hope that this year ushers in a lot of brightness, after which we shall know no darkness ever again. Have a happy Chanukah. Thank you very, very much.